You're fine.
No, it's fine.
And then,
But I got to
they're like,
But it's up 45.
We started?
Yeah. Just
Keeping me out of frame.
so,
Thank you for
they were
sharing
like,
that.
As always.
Ticket to try right now. I was like, I don't have that money, like,
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
and they were like,
Sorry for the delay. We're going to go ahead and start this meeting at 5:36. Want to pull up our agenda. So today is going to be majority tone setting for the board and an information dump. We don't have any clubs coming in or any major pieces of legislation that we're passing. This is really just that everyone kind of be on the same page and prep for our budget meetings that will be coming in the next 2 weeks. So first of all, roll call. I recognize that I am present, Scott is present, Justin is present, Mohammed is present, Ilsa is present, Nithya is present, Michael is present, Zane is present, and Elise is present. I recognize that our secretary Dean is present, and ex officio members Candace, Tori, Courtney, and Brenda are present as well, along with our lovely friend.
Yeah, can I say that I'm actually your correspondent now, so I have to sit in like SGA meetings and FBA meetings.
welcome.
Yay, correspondent.
We thank you for being here, even though you are still forced to be here. So nice that you-
Hopefully it's enjoyable.
Do you have to sit in for the whole time?
Welcome to our correspondent. So as for the agenda, I'd actually like to move to amend the agenda. All right, I moved to strike SRC reforms. Last night, the Senate tabled the SRC reform JL 02-1920. I see no reason for us to pass any changes now, considering that they're planning on making changes, which means we have to bring it up next week anyway to hear the revised changes pass. So I'd like to move to strike SRC reforms and JL 02-1920 from the agenda.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? All right, the motion carries. And I'd also like to add on, just after announcement hours, Michael had a suggestion for assisting clubs that may have been hurt last year by incorrect information. So I'd like to add in some time on the agenda for that. Just be and that would be, oh crap. I hate this keyboard. And that would be, probably 15 minutes or so.
Can you write proposal?
Yeah.
Proposal for.
All right. Are there any objections? All right. Motion for general consent. All right. So this is our agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? The motion carries. Let's go ahead and- All right. So did everyone get a chance to look over the minutes from last meeting?
As there.
Is everyone okay with those minutes? All right. Is there a motion on the floor then?
To approve meeting minutes from whatever last meeting was.
9:24?
9:24. All right. Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, the motion is passed with general consent. We had one Sahas application from last week. Due to some members not being present, we did not have quorum for this vote. But I'd like to reintroduce FBL 96-1920, which is the approval of the Moot Courts Fall 2019 Secondary Ad Hoc Allocation System request. Does anyone want to open discussion, or you want to go straight to a vote for this one?
Can you bring it up real quick? This is 04.
Sorry? Yeah, it's in,
No, 10, 15, 18, 19.
no, it's 006. It's been moved out of that one. It's up on the board right now. So they had a club t-shirt request. They had requested $200 or $300 for club t-shirts, $100 for Convision materials. They're requesting for 10 shirts at $17 per. So the max amount funding that we agreed on would be funding $100 for club t-shirts, 10 shirts, $10 per shirt, and then the $100 for Convision materials.
So it's 10 shirts?
Yeah, it's 10 shirts.
Okay. Why did they have 10?
That's for the design.
Yeah, for the
Typical
design of
t-shirt.
the t-shirt. Okay.
Wait, why is it under
Wrong,
the?
wrong one.
Yeah.
What did I put 170?
For what?
Like, they said $300 for club t-shirts, but it's only 10 or 17, it's not 170.
We can only fund up to $10 per item.
Yeah, I know, but like, why did they request it?
That's so nice.
As Max Maker requested, I think they're also doing it to cover like shipping and fees and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So-
$10 per t-shirt, that's fine.
Discussion on this would be voting for approval of the $100 in common vision materials and $100 for club t-shirts. Is everyone okay with that, or does anyone have any objections?
No objections. I just had a question about, I know I had written notes on this, but I see it's gone out of our accounts. Is there any way to get that?
You can click on the reviews tab to view the.
It's on.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, we would not be funding those fees. We'd only be funding the $10 per each individual item.
That sounds pretty simple. I don't think there's much discussion to be had. So I'm a motion to move to end discussion.
All right, motion for previous question. Is there a second? All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? All right, the motion carries. This would be approval for $100 in common vision materials and $100 in club t-shirts.
Let's
Say again.
nothing.
All right, so is there a motion on the floor regarding FBL 96-1920?
Move to approve FBL 96-1920 for the amount of $100.
That would be 200.
200.
100 for common vision, 100 for club t-shirts.
Oh.
So are you doing for 200 or just 100?
I thought it was 100.
No, 100 for common vision materials, 100 for the club t-shirts.
So why are we giving the money for time? Yeah, move to reopen discussion. I was preemptive.
All right, so motion to withdrawn, and this motion to open discussion. There's been a second on that.
Second.
All right, we're back into discussion.
So, isn't it just for t-shirts?
The request.
No, the
The merchandise and marketing fund?
you know, those are separate funds. The merchandise fund is basically a t-shirt fund, and then the marketing fund is for common vision for new clubs made within the last 2 years to buy common vision materials and establish name recognition.
So they're paying for a service.
Yeah. I think they were gonna, so in order for competition to help you design the logo, they require you to purchase something from them. They don't just do free consultations.
Yeah, it's $35 an hour for design work.
So, you guys want to fund that? I just want to know what happened last time. You guys talked about it last time, so bring me up to speed since I'm on.
Discuss that point. There's nothing, I guess, physically in the statutes that mention this.
As far as the statute wise, I mean, you guys are allowed to fund through that design. The question is, as a board, do you want to?
Have we funded before for the design?
We can find a few t-shirts, I don't think.
Most t-shirts that came to us already had a design. So no one's requested. Yes.
I mean, I don't think I'd consider it like common vision materials because like it's part of the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like it's like a t-shirt cost, and then since they're only doing 10, that's sort of the I guess budget, the limited budget because you don't think allowed to have 10. I mean, it's like $10 a head, so it's only $10. I mean, I understand why it's under common vision materials, but they're not asking for like posters and things. They're asking for a service fee that related to the t-shirts specifically. Or is that?
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it since they're making Yeah, since it's directly related to like the maintenance, sure.
Alright, so is there a motion regarding the attachment A for this, which would be the amounts being funded? Or is there any further discussion, I should say?
So, so 7.5, through 7.5.4, merchandise requests can only, be up to $10, but it's not really specific on what it can be used for, so I think it's just categorically limited to $100. Even though since it's for the t-shirt, it's $10 per item, like they can use that for design if they want to, but I think it's only up to $100.
I mean, yeah, that's why I see it, because the service they're using is to directly design a t-shirt, it's not the like promotional material or anything like that, which they don't qualify for anyway, it's not good qualify.
Alright. Is there any other discussion on this organization at this time? Alright, are there any proposed changes? Well, actually, move to end discussion.
Or move to end discussion.
Yes, the live stream is indeed on.
Oh, it's just TVs.
Yeah, I'll go against that.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as it's on, it doesn't matter, I just didn't know if it was on. It's fine.
So, yeah, I'd like to move previous question and debate.
Move to end debate and move to amend FBL 96-1920, so
Second.
be only $100.
Alright, there's a second, so the move to amend is to strike the common vision allocation of $100 to $0. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? Alright. So, are there motions on the floor regarding the amended legislation of FBL 96-1920?
But now I think it's pretty good. My bad before.
So is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve FBL 96-1920 for the amount of $100.
There's a second? Alright. Would anyone like to write any abstentions at this time? Elsa?
I would like
Abstain.
to abstain from this one,
Why?
because I'm a beneficiary of this shirt.
Understood. Justin?
I'm gonna abstain too, because I'll take a shirt.
Understood. Alright, are there any abstentions at this time? Alright. All in favor of approving FBL 96-1920, please raise your hands now. Alright, all opposed? Alright, the motion carries. And I'm gonna go ahead.
No.
Well, that's neat. I hope that.
You need to put in some notes in there.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
That's 2 words.
Well, I messed up this.
It's not
Really?
two words,
Not
it's
one
a
word.
word.
I thought it was common with one
It's
word.
not.
Your common vision is
It's
one
not?
word, and it's not.
Maybe that's what it is. They did my song.
I always
Well, it's the beginning of the sentence.
I know.
They said learn how to read first, no. Where'd you get your hat?
SEB.
So like,
Oh,
where-
yes. No way.
So I was sitting on Courtney's floor. SEB walked in and they were like, you need to go for it. I was like, no.
Wait, they said you can eat it.
So yeah, no. But I was like, I don't come.
know when you're in the coffee shop, like reading
You can also
poetry?
do,
Could be.
wait, there's like,
Huh?
they do a thing where it's like they, you know?
I can't, you don't know what a beatnik is?
I just,
I'm so.
you know?
A beatnik?
Wait, who used to do that? Oh, it's
You know what a beatnik is?
It's like, oh my god.
Look at that.
There's something like that.
How do you spell it? Beat, like B-E-A.
Can you spell rock?
I think it's just N-I-K.
Yeah.
Use it in a
It's all one word.
I can't believe you don't, that was not that, you know it's one word. It's like, they're from like the 50s and 60s, and they would wear all black, and they would go to coffee shops and do poetry slams, and then
Well, I mean, this just, you don't have to roll this, just notice the
I
items.
thought that was like the 70s and 80s.
No.
80s.
God.
80s was too colorful for black.
Yeah.
That's just a nice thing that we do. Oh my god.
Yeah. You have to paperwork from UMBC about not being the health
No, they didn't come in last week. We had them scheduled, but no one
Came
came
in
in.
last week.
Yeah, that was my fault. So, but did you get it? Did you get it?
No, we got no paperwork as such. Do you have it with you right now?
No. But is there a time I can give it?
Next week?
Oh, I want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send an email reminder out to you sometime on Thursday. You'll be first on the agenda for next week.
It's just a cat hearing, right?
Yeah, can we squeeze them in today?
Yeah.
He
Move to
doesn't have
amend
the
the
stuff on-
agenda.
Well, he doesn't have the stuff on him.
I know, not on it, could you get it, or, I'm sorry.
Could you get it by the end, by right now?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Alright.
Come on.
So yeah, we'll just do it then.
Once he arrives, we'll amend the agenda.
It's magnetic.
It's magnetic.
Oh, no.
Oh.
He's got like-
Please
you
don't
gotta
know
catch
that
it.
There you
you-
Thank you also.
Move to amend the agenda.
Well, we're doing this tonight. So, wherever we are.
Alright. Could everyone except for the secretary close their laptops at this time? You're fine. Alright, so it might not be any surprise to you guys right now, but not everyone was happy with how the finance book's running, how it's working. Reps are kind of upset about not knowing things that they feel like they should know, kind of lack of communication on all sides, and everyone here is new. Everyone who's sitting on the board right now, or every finance board representative on the board right now, has never been sitting in this position before, myself included and Justin included. So we wanted to kind of take time to sit down with you guys and talk about the expectations that you guys have for us as leadership, kind of when you guys had a position, what you expected people in charge to do for you guys. We'll talk a bit about what we expect from you guys and what we plan to do for you guys, and hopefully we can have like a back and forth discussion in terms of how you see us as leadership, and then later on we'll also include Scott and Zaid, since they're in a leadership position but not leadership on the finance board. But I think it's important that we have this talk in terms of when you guys think of what you expect us to do for you, what does that entail? So I guess we can, if anyone has any comments right now, they can speak up. If not, we can start with what we expect, or what we see our jobs as in terms of, and then we can kind of pass that off to you guys. Justin, you want to rock the first?
But we don't let them.
Does anyone have anything to like to say right now?
You gotta come in first.
Alright, well, at least in myself as your chair, I see myself in more of a background position. Last year, we definitely made changes to kind of make the chair more of a moderator of the board as opposed to an active voice on it. So I see myself as preparing the agendas for you guys, preparing the meeting layouts, trying to make things as quick as possible, but also efficiently working, and then to be a resource for you guys in terms of questions that you have regarding the budgetary process, regarding what it's like to be a rep, that kind of stuff, and I might not have all the answers for those. But at least as chair, that's kind of where I see my role as. It's more oversight and being able to assist you guys and help with a lot of pre-planning. But I definitely see you guys more as the decision-making body. And even though I am a rep that can have a vote, I understand the power that kind of when the chair weighs in on a discussion, at least when I was in Senate, it kind of had to be able to just swing a room. And I'm very conscious of the fact that the chair has a lot of power. just in terms of how they vote and which ways they choose and what they think is the best decision for the board. So I try not to overexert or extend that power, and I try to have you guys be a lot more the decision-making body. And I'm kind of in the background, still absorbing and taking in the information, but trying not to weigh my opinions too much against yours.
For me as vice chair, I guess I would say I see my position as having sort of responsibilities to three parts. One is to you guys, especially with this new liaison system. I know it hasn't taken off to the right foot, but I'm trying everything I can to like make it better. I know like you guys probably gotten some of the slack from others, and we've all taken shots from everyone outside this room who doesn't really understand what's going on yet. And so I feel like that's probably my most important role as your vice chair, just to help you, because I know you have about 50 clubs, and that's just a lot to do on your own, especially considering you have classes. But I also see my role as being responsible for SRC and Liam. As vice chair, I see my role as support for the chair, trying to help him, but so far I understand like the priority is you guys. That you all basically need my services to be there for you and to sort of help guide you on what to do.
If you don't mind, we're just going to go around and have you guys share kind of what you see our role as, and then we'll switch it later to talk about how you guys see yourself. But if you want to go around, Scott, do you want to start? What is what you expect from finance board leadership?
I guess so. So I, by kind of letting the room do the talking rather than leading the conversation as chair, I've kind of filled that vacuum and provided a lot of input, a lot more than I should, especially as a member of the executive branch, like coming into this legislative body, not like representative. So I think that a more effective way to like kind of come in the room is you can still be impartial if you explain both sides, and like kind of direct the discussion a little bit more, prevent circular conversation. Yeah. I don't want to take up all the time though. Liaison system I think is kind of coming together more with the website and everything. I'm not on SRC and I haven't seen the reforms yet since they've been tabled to next week, so I can provide feedback on that.
Please.
Because we see like you guys want like a tool in a way, because I definitely have a lot of questions, so I think it's really helpful like when I do ask, like even though you guys might not always know, like you guys always are willing to help teach us, in some way.
Yeah, I would just echo what Scott says. I definitely think starting off, like I know obviously like my main job is to like, advocate and like obviously like I do talk a lot, but I also like don't want to pick up like the whole conversation or debate between reps, because I think that part's important. So again, like Scott was saying, like to the conversation. I guess because of the chairs I have seen, like there's just like more structure and guidance on like conversations and kind of steering debate. Obviously they did weigh in the past, and I don't think you should prevent yourself from that, but I understand in terms of like the chair's role. If you'd want it to be like that, I wouldn't be against it. I would just say like more structure and guidance in terms of like when we're in a discussion. But other than that, I think maybe another thing is like delegation. So I think when everybody else kind of talks about what they expect, like just making sure there's effective communication. Like if you know you're drowning in work this week, like just making sure that like either a rep or myself or Scott, like we can help in any capacity that we can, because I think it's better to do that than be like behind and then have like other problems come down the road, rather than just like reaching out to us as well. I think specifically like we're all a resource to each other in terms of like being able to like even if it's like sending an email or it's like filling in for a meeting or something like that to make it more. I think it's just important to like that we can trust each other in that regard as well. So.
I'd just like to echo what Team Scott said. I think you guys have a board that is kind of both guiding us and kind of moderating and just kind of giving us the resources we need to do our jobs. I do think that I don't know, I just feel a little overwhelmed as a representative. I do think
about them off the record, just like, oh, this is what my club and whatever. And I think the problem with that is that, you know, just because I was able to like see somebody outside of this meeting because I have a class with them or whatever, and I'm able to like communicate with them doesn't mean that the rest of the board knows about like that issue as well. And so even if it's small things like, oh, this club came to you and was like really frustrated, or this club tried to talk to you again about whatever, I think it's worth that it would be good if that was sort of communicated to everybody so everyone's on the same page. And as far as trust, I mean, I think that that's something that you can't really force on a group of people, and that will come with time. And I know you mentioned things about like team bonding and things like that. But I think that there are definitely a lot of times where I felt in the past few weeks where there have been tensions between people, and I know that there are people on this board who might feel more comfortable talking to a certain person about a problem than someone else just because of the dynamics of their relationship, which is fine. Like, you know, we don't have to all be like best friends, but I think just being respectful of each other always, and also being respectful of the clubs that come in. Sometimes it's really frustrating to hear their concerns because we know like what we're saying is right in terms of like it's supported by whatever precedent, but just being respectful and not assuming that they know something or things like that. But as Justin said, like we have gotten a lot of criticism and a lot of backlash, and some of that is fair, but also a lot of it is just we all are learning together, so we really need to stick together and sort of go through it as a group.
Thank you.
Yeah, to kind of echo what Elsa kind of mentioned in the end about like all this like learning. I think from the beginning, like for me, it was a challenge kind of learning all the procedures, but slowly I think I got the hang of it, mostly on my own, but also through you guys, through the meetings, coming here, kind of learning more about it. Also appreciated, like the reach out that Justin, I think, did the week before, or I think last week or the week before, just to, check on me and ask me, like, how things were going. So, that one-on-one kind of helped as well, express my concerns, directly to him. But I think communication is the key, and there's a lot to learn, but, I mean, I reach out, like Michael Lee, I reach out to you guys, as a resource as well, so I appreciate all the answers that you're bringing.
Thank you. Jody, the exhibition members have anything they want to say or add? So at this point, we're going to spit it out to kind of the rest of the leadership, so Scott and Zane, and how you see their roles. So if you guys want to start by saying like how you see yourselves as, although you're voting members of this board, you are still technically not a member of the legislative branch of the body. So kind of how do you see what you've been doing so far, and how do you see yourselves on the board and your job on this board? We'll start with Scott. We'll start with Zane.
Yeah. So I guess like in serving previously as UPS, I was involved in SGA. My whole time here at UBC. I mean, I feel like I'm definitely a resource for you guys, but I'm also like here equal. Like I'm a student too. Like I certainly don't know the answer to every problem or issue that we're going to come across. But I mean, I would say in terms of finance, where obviously I'm here to like, advocate student issues in terms of funding and things like that. But also like being a resource to you guys if you're like meeting with an org and want me to be there. Like I'm happy to do that. And obviously being an equal member of this board, like obviously giving my input, my opinion on things, just as you should as well. And I guess looking towards for like guidance and advice on things. But again, I really do see myself as like an equal voice on the board, and like just as Justin and Ling were saying, like it's a resource to support you in any capacity that you might feel the need. And I guess also like just providing opportunities for you guys to like connect with like boards and things like that. So whether it's like just sending out invitations for the roundtables or hosting some programming through the SOST, I think it's just important that we're like all connected and that we can like just sit down with boards outside of finance board and be like, hey, like how's your club doing? Like what are you guys doing this semester? And obviously talking about like issues and specifically like troubleshooting things, but. Again, I would just see myself as like a resource, also like an equal voice in terms of what we decide to do as a board.
So the position of treasurer has really changed since last year, and I tried to make a lot of that change. So for example, last year the treasurer would write the agenda for finance board instead of the chair of finance board. And the treasurer could also complete a reallocation request on their own and completely disregard the allocation amounts within finance board. So I tried to devolve a lot of my position into the finance board, into finance board leadership. But for what I see my job, I try to do a lot of stuff on the back end for like finance board specific things. I try to train all the treasurers so that they come to you with less questions, and hopefully they're properly educated on the processes, SADSC, finance board requests, so that you're more of like the position of liaison is more just like helping things with things that they don't understand rather than like teaching them everything, because hopefully that my treasurer training has been encompassing enough that everybody kind of has an idea of what's going on. A lot of the back end stuff for finance board is handled by finance board leadership, but I try to like help where I can, like informing orgs such as like the due date October 18th, and basically supporting them on non-finance board stuff, mostly SABSC, understanding David Royer, things like that.
So we're ready to go around the room again, kind of just have everyone else give their thoughts about it. We'll go in first this time. How you want to start?
Talk about this.
Yeah. How do you see, so they've explained how they see their roles to you. How do you see like the treasurer and the DPSO as part of finance?
So yeah, so for so I did go to Scott's treasurer training session, and I think it was really very like comprehensive. I think it's a good way to kind of get treasurers. I mean, a lot of treasurers from my clubs that have approached me and afterwards they sent to like to your trainings, and they have found that helpful. So that kind of helped me in my role as well. So I think that definitely makes it less, I guess, burdensome. And Zane, in the past, I think we have had several meetings with Let's Club, and Zane has always been present there, so I appreciated that, especially like the guiding, guiding them through the alternative sources of funding that they've had. So I think it's something that he's definitely helped, push organizations towards. So I appreciated that as well.
Thank you. Listen.
Well, I think both of you guys have been amazing resources for the board, especially like with the treasurer trainings. Some of my clubs are still having difficulty understanding the process, and they said that they've been through the training, but I think it's more of like an issue of one-on-one. I don't think it's anything against the training, and I think it is like really like difficult, I guess, to get some of the. It's a lot of information, so we just have to keep pushing through that. But yeah, just any issues with clubs, like I've talked to you guys like in the office whenever you guys have been around, and it's been really helpful. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I guess kind of echo what Melissa said. I mean, kind of you guys for your guidance on different finance board related things and SGA things in general. And then, yeah. More helpful.
I think I see Scott as exactly as they described themselves. Please.
Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, I also see you guys as resources, and also like a lot of my clubs have also reached out to me about like some house, and then I'm saying that I felt maybe it's needed like training, like because I went last week, and like even things are meeting me, it's like a personal issue where I got one-on-one, but you guys really helpful when I asked questions, kind of asked a lot. Sorry.
Justin.
I mean, I guess I see sort of like Zane as sort of like his ear to the ground with the student boards, and like sort of like he has his hand on like what you call it, the pulse of student orgs, and I guess like I feel feel like you have done a good job, especially like with the invitations you sent us to like fraternities and other like different board types. And so I think like you've done a good job at fulfilling that role. And you know, Scott, I feel like he's a walking guiding doc. He just knows the procedure and the process very well. And like, if you can really be like, is this official or not?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo a lot of what Justin said. Scott is a walking guy. But I think also, even though he's treasurer, I think the power that goes to just being a former finance representative and being the only other person who has served a year on finance board before, well, my advice to it, but at least for last year, kind of, you know, creates an insane, but I served as a finance board representative, that's what I'm trying to say. Because, yeah, same year, you're executive branch, you got power. But I definitely see you as like, your job is definitely to be like in discussions advocating on behalf of student boards. And like kind of just taking that point of view during arguments. And then same for Scott. Although ideally the board will be doing more discussion, but I still think that your voice is included and still has value.
So, like, also, I try to kind of stay in my lane and not like undermine liaisons or the chair or the vice chair in kind of their areas. So if I get finance board questions, I try to refer them to the appropriate people rather than providing my own take on it. And I think it's just trying to provide that separation and not like undermine people in their capacities, kind of like communication I also was saying. Like if this isn't my job, whether to the person who is.
Does anyone have any other things you'd like to discuss before I go to the next thing? So something that came up was talking about discussions and kind of like the lack of structure on that. So when I first started, Scott and I had talked about the worries since during my time on Senate, I was a very vocal voice, either for and opposition of certain bills that were going through. And there was kind of the worry that I do that in my role here. But since there's kind of the worry about the structure of debates and discussions, how would you guys like to see Leah's role as in terms of when a bill comes up, do you want me to be like an active voice in participation in discussion, or would you rather I retain like more of the moderation type style of role? And that's an open-ended question to anyone who wants to answer. Because I'm willing, I can do either. But the first impression that I got from the word was that I'd be too much of a voice. But if that's something that you guys feel like is a necessary thing, or if you think myself or either Justin, other shows should kind of like start to take a lot more of an active role in presenting sides of the arguments and being an active part of the discussion. Is that something you guys would like to see, or would you prefer the chair being more of a moderator as opposed to an active voice, so to speak?
For me, I feel like you guys should be just as active voices as we are. I mean, before you guys were voted as leadership, you guys were voted as finance board representatives, and the student body wanted you guys to represent their views just as much as they wanted us to represent their views. So I definitely think that your voices on different opinions would be very vital in helping to decide some of the contentious decisions that we have to make. So I would like to hear more from, I guess you kind of separated yourself because you felt as the chair, your voice would have stronger vote. I think as finance board representatives, we have to be able to make decisions regardless of whether you feel one way or another, just because you're the chair of the board. So, and I think we've already been doing that. So
I agree. Yeah, just to add to that, I think, I mean, I appreciate that your concern and, you know, it's like with the right intention, but I think that, you know, as elected officers, like we will be able to vote on an issue, and we really respect your voice, but we'll be able to vote regardless of the way that you know want us to.
Thank you. Scott?
So the way that happened before, and I think people who served on finance board before kind of take it from this perspective, was like Carly was kind of like discussion, compassion, and then Daniel was very process oriented. And Daniel, because of that leadership style, felt like his decision made an outside impact in the board. But I think it's
saying this, another side saying that. Here's also another option. It's like, it's level-headed, and sometimes we're not always level-headed, but I feel like in your role that you've been in so far, you've been able to sort of see past it and like sort of bring us back down to like earth and like say, okay guys, like this is basically what it boils down to.
I do feel though that even though that's the case, like last week though, it was the first time that there was kind of a split on the board, and since we didn't have quorum, there was the need for the chair to wait, and I don't feel like all the views necessarily on the situation that you need help were completely clear, because as the moderator, you didn't really speak about the situation that was being debated. You kind of briefly went into it, but that was kind of just the end of the situation. Whereas the finance board reps would be more involved and talked about it and stuff. So I think definitely since there is situations or there is that possibility that you may have to win it, I think definitely being able to see your viewpoint on the situation is definitely a very important part since you do still have to vote on the board. So.
Anyone else have anything you'd like to add? And then another question I wanted to pose was when it comes to my viewpoint, that is something you want to hear first out of the gate, or wait until everyone else has kind of put their views and opinions down?
I think the change in the system that Daniel made is kind of like bad. I think if the chair was like doing something unacceptable, like the chair can be removed, so I think that's enough of a check in that. You shouldn't have to self-censor yourself if you're in this position. Just try and be as objective as you can, like making decisions on like signing off on reallocation funds or whatever. But there's still a check even if the liaison having to sign off on that. So I think there's enough protection within the system already that you don't have to censor yourself. So I would put in your decision whenever it's formed, reading the notes before the meeting.
Understood. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you should be able to express like your opinion. Obviously, in guiding debate, I think you should be able to like throw in like another side or different argument to it. But I mean, I think if you support or are opposed to like decisions that the board is considering, I think it's best if other reps hear that. Just so I think it's the whole part of like listen and understand rather than listen to respond, because when each of us like add a point of discussion or just discuss in general like whether we agree for this reason or disagree for that reason, I think it just makes us a better like board and better board dynamics, because we're just being open in our discussion and being behind it. So.
Thank you. Anything you want to say?
No, free to do so.
Should I tell you what I say to you?
Yes.
Well, I agree that there are times when the chair should, put or offer input into certain situations, because there can be circular discussion just over and over again over the same topics. And I do think that offering your perspective does help, but I think it's the job of the chair to really determine at what point in time should you intervene, and at what point in time should you abstain from offering any input, just let things naturally evolve.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just like exactly what he said. It's like in terms of like, I think a lot of times we tend to like talk about, I'm probably the person here, probably the least who probably speaks the least. But I think a lot of times it's just circular discussion that's just going on and on. And even though we're agreeing on one thing to do, it's still going on. And for I think some of us are commuters here, so it's like, that meeting time being prolonged and going back, have to go back home and all that stuff. So it's kind of, interreach with our personal schedules as well. So I think that's one point I mentioned to Justin last time we met. So I think just as the team said, just knowing, where to convene and where to like the discussion kind of naturally flow is an important aspect of
So what I want us to talk a little bit about is, so Liam said, I would like to do some rep tone setting discussion. Gave me some primers, and then I think I followed those and maybe done some of my own stuff. So, as I am wont to do. You're fine. So on your paper or on your writing, whatever device, the question I would like for you to answer is, what do you expect from yourself as a finance board representative? So maybe it's like, what do I expect from myself as a finance board representative, and how will I know and show that I am meeting these expectations? So what do you expect from yourself as a finance board representative, and how will you know and show So finish up your last thoughts. And what I would like for you to do is to pair up with someone who you're not sitting next to and you don't usually talk to, and share what you wrote, right? So that you can have an accountability partner for your expectations for yourself, and then we will do a volunteer of like, if you want to share to the group, you can. Or, so let's find a partner that we don't usually talk to and share what you wrote.
Michael, you cry when I ask you, are you sure you can cry?
We're gonna have one group.
You sure? Promise.
Did you say asbestos?
She said people you don't usually talk to. You talk to them too much.
Camden, oh my God, you literally said my name. You know what? I don't want you
No,
anymore. No, Dustin's all yours. He's all yours.
Alright, well, first of all, there's gonna be 1 group of 3.
Wait, but then I talk to everybody all the time.
And you can be by yourself.
I'm
Or
the
you
Is there one person? Is there?
No.
Yeah, we have 9.
It's 9 people.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Okay, Michael, you first.
Or you can do 3 groups of 3, whatever.
Yeah.
Just talk with some people about what you wrote. That is said, what? Excuse me?
No, not, I don't talk that much.
Okay, fine.
I said I don't talk that much.
Yeah, you do.
No, she doesn't.
Join us.
This is pretty.
How do you know?
That's like I expect I understand what the meeting is possible. I expect to have a I expect to be spoken with respect on the respectful. How we want to know those. Okay, so like, if you know, kind of like complain about me, that's all. No one has so far complained, you know, that I'm usually on top of stuff. And then the second one, oh yeah, if someone brings it up personally, you know what I mean? Like if I'm doing something wrong, then I wouldn't know. Unless someone tells me to
So for me, I expect myself to be focused on more on campus life, as well as working with underrepresented to sort of promote campus life, and also aiding students along in like funding their events. That's my expectation. And basically, like, I'll know that I'm doing this like kind of when I start attending more events on campus, what I've been trying to do to like sort of get a feel for like what's going on, as well as sort of like at finance board meetings or like at office hours we'll be discussing club budgets, and like we'll try and do our best to like allocate as much funding as we are allowed to the club. And also sort of just like writing up the legislation, I find some like emails from like you guys or maybe clubs that may send things that questions about the sick leave system or like any other thing, like being able to help them or guide them to someone that's
one day, so like every day,
for me it's been
I think one of the basic things.
I mean, I've attended like events, but like, you know, my own club, like actual specific events, I feel like something that's been well, you know, it's something that's kind of more to the center. I think that this one
And then also partnering with, but also setting where for compassionate understanding, but they're also following.
already. I'm on my just want to go and make a meeting sometime we can start to work with it. If possible, you could do 10 hours on Tuesday during Monday, I literally get off of work at 5 o'clock. You know, so I don't know if this is going to be feasible, but I do think if I can respond back to it,
I mean, you can, I would say you can do that, but also like if I also have work during that time, if I can like get out and find like maybe some of your officers, like we could go and like go in
your place and tell you, hey, we went to your meeting, this is what we like sort of found out, like this is what, you know, we sort of got from them. But yeah, like I would say open them to office hours and like let them know. And also like if you like if they really want this to be happening, like try and like say I'll try to find someone to attend for me.
Right. So you think I should like pitch that or kind of that? Is it like but if they like so if kind of like reach out to the start that like it's not first of all it's not beneficial but at the same time like is it something that's more recommended like what?
I would recommend that like either try to go or find someone else to go for you. But like the priority is like just let them know we have office hours. Like that's like the main thing. As long as they know office hours or like they can contact you.
Okay, so does anybody want to share what expectations they have for themselves in their role? You don't have to. Does anybody want to share? Yes.
Is it the role as a whole or in the context of like the joy?
The finance role.
Okay.
Okay, so what my job is finance board rep. Determining allocations for student orgs, informing student orgs of the budget and house allocation processes, patrolling SGA funded events, maintaining communication with orgs that I'm liaison for, participating in discussion in finance board meetings, understanding that we're here for students and that we've been motivating our students. Okay, cool.
Anybody else?
I lost my ring here last night. And now I think it's gone forever.
Which one?
My Mickey Mouse ring.
Why didn't you tell me last time I found it?
It's fine.
I thought she meant her wedding ring. I was about to say like what?
No, I would have been on the ground. Okay, anybody else want to share what they expect of themselves in their role as finance board representative?
I mean, to echo sort of what Nithya said, I think like trying to be more involved with like on-campus events and like trying to like sort of see like what it is like the student body is getting a chance to experience, especially with like the funding we allocated, but also like trying to help aid clubs and even having these events, like trying to like find every little like maybe loophole or some type of like, you know, some type of area where we can like allow for this funding so that they can like host this event, maybe not to the fullest but close to it as we can get.
So I think I hear a lot of like we should be going to stuff, we should be available, we should so being present, right? Like being present at UMBC, like student org events, being present for your orgs, being present at this meeting, both like as a person, but like present, right? Being sort of focused in on stuff. Anybody else? I would ask that you send whatever you typed up to me, and then I will send it back to you in a month and say, hey, are you doing this stuff? That's sort of a check. Does that sound cool? Okay, I expect them to know from everyone. Okay. All right. The second, because I got 19 more minutes. The second question I want us to and by us, I mean you. I want you to think about an answer, and then we're going to share, and then we're going to come to sort of like a group consensus on it. Is what do you expect, and it may be the same things you expect from yourself, it may be different, but what do you expect from your peers in finance board, and how will you know that they're doing, how will you know they're doing what, are they meeting those expectations? So it may be just a copy and paste, there may be other things, but I ask you to take the next 3 minutes to sort of write out what you expect from your peers in finance board, and how will you know that your peers are meeting those expectations. And then we're going to share out as a group and come to like a list that the everybody done, or you need more time? Does anybody need more time? 2 more minutes? Okay, so what we're gonna do is everybody's gonna share. Have you guys ever played Boggle? Do you know this game?
Yeah, I love Boggle.
Boggle's like a word search game, and it is like everybody looks at the same letters and they try to make up as many words as they can, and then you compare your list with the person you're competing against, and you only get points for the words that you have that are unique. We're gonna sort of do that with this. So I'm gonna ask. So we're gonna go around, and you're gonna share out what you have as expectations. And then for the group, and then the next person's gonna go, and they're only gonna share the unique things on their list. So if somebody already spoke to something, you're not gonna share it. If there's if you have something that's similar but different, if you feel like it's different enough, you want to mention it, that's fine, thank you. But if it's already been spoken to, you don't have to say it again. Make sense? Okay. So, whose birthday is next? Not you. Who has birthday in October? Really?
Yeah. It's
Your birthday's Monday?
Yeah.
Woo! Did you write stuff?
Yeah. What category are we playing for?
We're playing for the expectations of my peers.
Oh, I said contribution to finance boards, like liberation of funding
Yeah.
issues, attending student org related events, whether held by the student org / SGA, and being present inside and outside the office.
Okay.
And those are
Here's 3 things. Okay, left or right, you decide.
Oh.
Wait, I'm so confused.
What are you confused about?
Like, if we have this similar thing, don't we like scream it and then you cross it and then he doesn't get one? What?
It's not about points.
What's right? I was just a game.
It's not a game.
And I'll pass.
Listen, I provide the worst analogy. If you have not picked up on this, Brenda knows. Who else knows this? I'm like, you know what this makes me think of? It makes, and then they're like, what? Yes. If someone has already said it, you don't say it off your list. Oh, okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
Great.
We're going to the right.
To the right.
Alright, so I had that, to kind of have people, what I expect from the reps is that they respect that other people might not change their votes, so respecting each other's like decisions. And then also like if they have questions about stuff to like not stay quiet about it, just to ask since we're all in this together. After I saw Cordy just had a small smile to pick up on it.
So what was that last one? Respect each other's decisions and
Don't be afraid to ask questions. And then to explain the points that people are making. Like not just saying, oh, I'm voting this way, but like explaining why they voted in one way. So we can understand your decision or the making process.
I move words go nations, like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that. Okay. All the way around to you. That's what I got so far.
So that's all I had.
That's all you have?
Yeah, well, okay. I said, well, basically echoing what I said before in the meeting. It's not talking in a circular setting and knowing like when to have a discussion.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'm, yeah, I think that's what we're doing.
you. Thank you.
I wrote a note in cursive today to my kid's teacher, and she looked at it, and she's like, I can't read it. I said, it's written in code. So it was in code. She's like, I don't get it. I go, it's funny to me. You guys are like, that's not funny.
It's a great analogy.
Anything?
What's going on?
Yeah, but it's like all.
It's all the same, right? Yeah. Okay, that's okay. That means that you're on board with what other people are saying. That's actually really good. Elise?
Just to remember that like we're in part of representing like the whole student body, so like I don't know how to word it, but we represent like not only this room, but like we go like with our day.
Can never, yes, this is a very RA thing. Are you an RA? Were you an RA? No?
I'm here to be counsel.
Okay, so I used to work in Res Life and I was an RA, and something that they would tell us is like, you never get to take off the hat of being an RA. Everyone always sees you as an RA. Everyone will always see you as finance board representative. You're out, you're at Giant, buying a pumpkin pie, and people are like,
That's today.
people are like, Nithya. You're like, who is talking to me? They're like, hey, I had a question about finance board stuff. You're like, I'm literally just trying to buy this pumpkin pie. They will stop you in little line at Kruger's. They will talk to you out on the quad. You'll be in the library. You don't get to take the hat off once they know you and who you are finance board rep. And you're always finance board rep. And that's hard, but that's something you have to think of. You're at Ocean City, hanging out, and they're like, Elise, that happened to me once. I worked at Goucher as the hall director. I went to Ocean City, and I saw some of my students, and they were like, Candace, when do I get to pick my rooms? I was like, I'm in Ocean City. Leave me alone. So you're always to remember that you always wear the mantle of finance board. Like, sorry, I went off on a tangent because I really like that.
I will tack on to that if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So people will be asking you this stuff like repeatedly, and you just kind of have to expect that, even if you in your off hours. Like, I was at Echo Stage, trying to enjoy a good concert, and someone tapped me from behind and had a question. I'm like, I'm literally in the middle of vibing to this set. So like people will, if they see you and they recognize you, they will be like, what's a good time to ask? So you should always have to be prepared for that. It will be in those strange places you will never imagine.
And Senate won't get that. Senate doesn't get that. You will get that.
People will know you.
Just working cooperatively as a team. I think it's really important that we work to further the interests as a board, and even if we don't agree on everything, we try to come to a consensus and move forward together. And the second thing I had was just complete your job to the best of your ability. I know that quite often you may get bogged down by some of the viewpoints other people may have, but just doing your best to always represent the student body and I guess the belief that you have what you believe is best for the student body.
Cool.
Just to go down everything, even if it's already up there.
Huh?
Can I just go down everything? Even though it's
Nope.
already- So,
That's not how the game works.
using other people's experiences when you don't know something is happening. So like Candace, Courtney, Tori, Zane, me, Brenda, Liam, Justin.
So asking questions when you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people like to ask. Even though we have deliberation and offer explanations, like for like multiple reasons, like I was trying to read the minutes to understand what happened at the meeting I was in at, and a lot of people didn't provide explanations, so so people know what's going on. I think they're
So offer explanations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being respectful to each other and words throughout the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
mine was
Is it
respect
on
each
here?
other's. No, mine was respect each other's opinions.
Yeah. Respect each other's
Respect
for
boards.
decisions, right? Ask questions. Okay. Anything else?
Like listening to understand and changing your opinion when somebody has a better reason than you.
So listening to understand.
Yeah, not to
Yeah. Or you can put that as like willing to be open. Like
I like listening to understand.
Showing up to optional SGA events like roundtables or reading more.
Send you the He's trying. I know he is.
And if you don't know something, directing people to the appropriate sources so they can get help.
delegating.
Yeah, delegating, saying, like the phrase, I don't know, but I'm gonna find out for you. Like, is a great way to say that. Or, that's a really good question. I'm gonna find the answer for you. It's not delegate,
Sounds like just that.
Or
Just like
referring.
flashbacks from that.
it's, what is it?
Referring people.
Troubleshooting.
Directing
You
people.
just, you're finding answers, right? Like, you're gonna find the answers.
That is not what we'll find out.
So we'll find it out. Anything else? That's good? Okay. So here, I'm gonna read it out to you, and I'm almost out of time, but I have other things, but we could do them in a different time, we could give you more time on another agenda. So, do we agree that we can all commit to these things? To be able to listen to understand, to contribute to deliberations, to attend events as our schedule allows, to be present in meetings, to be present with one another, to be present in the office, to respect one another's decisions, to, ask questions without me. To be respectful to one another and to orgs, to offer explanations for our decisions, for the decisions of the board, for why the board does things a certain way, knowing when to end a discussion or recognizing when a discussion needs to come to an end, to be honest with one another, to recognize that you always wear the mantle of finance board, to find answers for students, to work cooperatively, to come to consensus on things that you can come to consensus on, because some things you come to majority vote on, right? Do your best to ask questions when you don't know the answer, and to ask questions of the people in this space. Are these things we can agree to? And get a verbal yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Can you take this?
Yep.
Great.
He's already taken.
I love it. Okay. I want to be respectful of time, so I have 3 minutes, but also I think that there's one more thing that I want to talk about, and I want to, and if I can get 5 additional minutes.
Are there any objections? We can amend the agenda.
Into the recess a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that okay? 7:05? Okay. Jesus, man. Okay. So I think something that is really important for you all to talk about is like what your expectations are around communication, because we talked a lot about that. That, you're like, communication, there's been lax in communication, and I wish people would communicate more, and I don't know what, people just communicate, and then, so, that's great. But what does that look like on a day-to-day basis, right? So how are you communicating, what are your expectations with one another? I always do that. And what are your expectations around communicating with boards? Okay? And I want this to sort of like popcorn it out there, really tangible expectations around communication. Ilsa.
like for the liaison system.
that's
Smell
not what
it?
we're, I don't smell
I like pie.
Just making sure you're giving, accurate information,
Yes.
because that's important.
Accurate info.
Or at least where you can find it.
Scott?
Like 24-hour response on Slack and CC and relevant people on emails.
Yeah, okay. So
Relevant.
first, paying attention. Does everybody have Slack?
No.
Yeah.
Is that no for you or for people in the room?
Everyone else in
I'm
the
not
room.
relevant.
Everyone here is on and in the Slack, and I know that I've seen all of you post before.
And then CC relevant people. Okay.
I guess it would be like reaching out to other reps or leaders, like when like you don't know or have some concern about moving forward.
Asking for help
Yeah.
or advice. Okay. What else? In terms of communicating with orgs or communicating with one another. Scott?
I think expectations for orgs, like liaisons can answer questions, but all legislation should be sent from like a central point.
What does that mean?
So like orgs can ask questions for the liaison, but all legislation should be sent from like what account or
Oh, yeah, okay,
to
got it.
prevent.
Got it, I got it. So finance board, legislation,
Slash decisions.
/decisions is emailed from
Sure.
from central account. I would even encourage you to, when you are emailing your orgs, to be CCing financeport@umbc.edu, so that there's a record of your communications with orgs after you leave, so that when an org comes and says, well, my finance board liaison told me that I could fill it out this way, and now you're telling me I don't get the money because I filled it out that way. That doesn't sound familiar in any way, shape, or form. That there's a record of what you actually said to them in the finance board inbox, so that you don't have to be chased down after.
You want to come?
Is that for every email we send or
Yeah.
like the mass
Oh.
email?
I would say every email.
Every email you send as a finance board representative, please
Yeah.
CC.
The emails you send to your mom also. I mean, I served on a conference committee last year, and they were just like, CC our inbox, so that when next year, when people have questions about what you did, or who you talked to, or what the timeline was, we can just go look at the inbox and see what you sent and when you did it. It's a great practice to do in terms of records management, in terms of like being able to leave some sort of paper trail for your people come after you, and then like if there's like say you have an org this year and then another finance board rep has the same org next year, and then the third year somebody else has it, and then you see there's this consistent issue with this org, like you can say, you've been doing this for 3 years, like this isn't new for you. Like, I think it's a great practice. Can I kind of put it up there? CC finance board at UMBC.edu.
Do you have access to that?
I also don't know how to access that.
So you don't have to access it, you just CC them.
Yeah, but like I'm saying in general, should just use
Yeah.
like I don't know.
So if you're on your.
Well, like getting on the finance board.
So if you're in your
But like
email
it
account,
doesn't.
and you go ahead and click here,
My other
it should
account.
show up.
Your UMBC.
If you're on your UMBC email account and you open up this little section over here, you should find finance board shared mailbox. And if you don't,
Oh,
let us
I found
know.
it.
Hey! Did you have something, Mohammed?
Did you?
Did FP or finance?
It's finance board, I just didn't have room.
Gotcha.
It's finance board at UMBC. Because I wrote it, and he was like, what are you doing? Okay.
Dean doesn't have access to it.
That's Brenda thing. Did you have something?
Yes, so I was gonna say like maybe checking up on orgs, especially if like they recently had a problem with us with questions about something. So like checking up on like astronomy club, and seeing like how
Following up with your orgs after they've come in. Like, so if an org comes into this room, the finance board liaison follows up with them within a week. If one of your orgs comes into this room for something, the finance board liaison follows up within a week. Does that sound doable? Okay. Org is seen. Finance board liaison follows up. Good night. Okay. What else? There doesn't have to be anything else because I'm out of time. Okay, Dean. Okay, so these are the things that we need to hold each other accountable for, right? That we have to remind each other about, right? That your chair and vice chair can remind you of, like if, you know, moot court came in today, who's moot court's liaison? Or moot court was heard today, even though they weren't here, there was a decision made on moot court. Who's moot court's liaison? Mohammed? Okay, so they're gonna get an email about their stuff. And then, like, you know, next week, say, hey, do you have any questions? We did pass legislation, do you have any questions? But that's something we all have to hold each other accountable to, right? Like, as we're going over the minutes, we can say, okay, who were the orgs that we saw last week, or who was heard last week? Who's their liaison? Did you follow up with them? Blah, blah, blah. Sound good? 24 to 48 hour response time. Someone emails you on a Friday, you should be emailing them back by Monday.
She said business days.
Whatever. That's a long time to wait. You know that you are like, I emailed you on Friday, you didn't email me back, it's Monday. Registrar, what's up? Right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? So just try to be as quick as you can with your email response, aiming for 24 to 48 hours. 48 hours being sort of, I can see that as the goal, right? Within 2 days. And 48 hours, like, so I'm gonna put this in the minutes and then I'm gonna send it out to everybody and then remind everybody all the time about it. Does that sound cool? All right, it's break time. I stole 3 more minutes.
Thank you, guys.
Mohammed, can you turn off the stream for recess?
Alright,
I don't know how to, but I'll
we're
try.
going to adjourn until 7, we'll go with 7:20. Yeah, 13 minutes.